Hello, Rich just joined.
Hi, Rich. It's Patrick from Oopgo. How are you?
Good, how you doing?
Pretty good. Is this Rich Lawson or Rich Howard? I have on my meeting notes both Riches listed. So
This is Rich Long.
okay. Are we gonna? Is anyone else gonna be joining from your end? Are we waiting on the other Rich, or are we good to go?
I don't know the other Rich.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
Um, I'm with Charter. Was there someone else? I don't see any other Riches in the invite that I have.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at two Riches, but I'm gonna assume that's probably an exec assistant error, so we can move on from there. So, how are you this morning?
Good. Yeah.
Where are you guys?
Slam.
Slammed?
Yeah. We work about 65-hour weeks right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that time of year, beginning of the year, everyone's pretty slammed, so.
It's been like that for about the last year.
Okay. Are you guys doing anything significant different internally, or just because stuff happens?
Just a lot of stuff going on, so
Okay.
lots of things going
All right. Just to verify on my end, can you see charter.com open on your window? The screen sharing's good?
on. Yep.
Okay. Well, on that note, I'm just going to jump right in, Rich, and say that our first step is usually, of course, for any enterprise, asking you what your direct role is, particularly in how it pertains to your website or anything digital.
This is not my area. I don't support any of our customer-facing portals or any of that right now. So I'm more with OSS, the operational support system, so it's more the back end. A lot of systems that are touching the network, and then we build tools that are used internally for our users, as far as network management tools, plant technician tools, operations tools, and we do a lot of the monitoring, and then I also have some of the infrastructure, DNS, some of our activation platforms, and then I have some of our Charter Business OSS, and then I also have some desktop support. So.
Okay, so you're on the networking end almost exclusively, it sounds like?
Mostly, yeah.
Do you guys have, from an I don't know if you're familiar, if it's inside your department, are you guys using any particular analytics? Is that a different department usually on your end for using any products to analyze what's happening either on the intranet or internet?
Yeah, we have some tools in that, and it's in a couple of different groups that we have. So.
Okay. All right. Well, in that case, yeah, I'm going to keep this. We had scheduled until 9:30. I'm going to keep it pretty short and 10,000 foot view, and see if there's interest either way. And in that case, we'll move forward.
Okay.
Great. So, Oopgo, we're a digital marketing intelligence company, and our primary technologies is we have a deep analytics technology, which stores as a data record and recreates everything that happens on a website to greater depth than any other current tool on the market. And we have that integrated with a search engine that has access to competitive trends throughout the internet that companies use to basically benchmark how they're doing compared to their competition and discover what kind of technologies and marketing strategies they're using. Out of curiosity, I'm going to give you a top level on the analytics. Is your particular role anything related to competitive intelligence? Is that within your realm, or is that outside of your?
No, that's outside my realm.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and press X on those links on that and keep this real short on our analytics end. So. All right, Rich. So our big differentiator, I mentioned the statement that we store more information and kind of store the complete online experience compared to a traditional analytics backend. What this means is, as opposed to only creating a record basically from page to page, when you have a website visitor go from page to page, a traditional analytic is going to use the server logs and basically say this person went from this page to this page at this time. In our case, if I enter in the form on your website here and I write my name is Bob and I delete it and write Rob, we're going to know the typing speed that was used within this form. We're going to know each individual keystroke, the mouse movements, and come up with a lot of relevant analytics coming down to efficiency and really fine-tuning each of the different portions of your website based on having a data point for each individual action.
So let me ask a question. Just
Go ahead.
when you said, as far as you know, that how long, as far as keystrokes and stuff, what information, that information, how's that valuable? What's that used for?
Well, that's valuable. Practical use cases, let's say on a particular form, if you say your call to action is trying to have someone fill out this find deals form, it lets you know the clarity, how often people are clicking delete, how often it's clear what the goal of your website is. Or it would also let you know if you're, if you guys are advertising from a particular resource, taking a look at how clear that information is as well. It all comes down to clarity, because if you can have this form filled out in 1 second each time as opposed to 2 seconds, and you're talking about that over a large number of viewers, it can make a big difference on the ROI as a whole.
Okay.
But yeah, the biggest example there, I mean, we're not only storing all this deeper information, it's kind of there if you need it, and the usual use cases, you have a microscope to use on any pain point or to dig deeper on any scenario, basically. That's all in conjunction with everything you see traditionally. You know, you can search and say, I want to look at the information of how long people are filling out forms from this page in this scenario, and I want to grab all 50,000 examples of this, and then I want to look at the data correlated with that as well. So it all comes down to you know, answering whatever your primary call to action is or pain point. So.
Okay.
Yeah, like I think. Go ahead, Rich.
I was going to say, can this be used on internal websites?
Yes, it can.
Public space?
You know, it can. I probably need to. I do know that we have had a couple instances where we haven't been able to. I don't know the deeper technical reasons behind that, but we do have quite a few cases someone's using it on their intranet.
So is this stuff where you guys are pulling back the information back onto your systems, or is this like a service, or is this hardware and stuff that we put in our data center, and it's more of a purchase solution that we're looking at and we purchase and own and move forward with?
It's a standalone. It's a web-based. By default, we're a web-based standalone solution on our end, where we would create the information and store it for your access on a website. But we also allow companies also have the option to host all this internally as well. But it's not an on-premise solution. It's all based on, you know, web-based servers.
Okay.
So yeah, go ahead, Rich.
More of a service than you guys are providing.
Yeah, service we're providing, but service meaning you have access to it through a website. But yeah, we don't need to do any hardware builds or anything internally on your end for you to move forward. So
that's why it wouldn't work on an internal network if it's not accessible from a public space.
Okay. Let me. No problem. So on that note, Rich, I'll just to summarize our introduction here, the other end of the coin there is we're storing all of this information on our end. We're also outputting all of the information as a playable record for all of your website traffic. So in this case, if everything you see on your website is relayed in the exact scenario as it was, regardless of device or browser. So the point being here is anytime you're looking at a particular data record internally, you can click play on it and see what the user experience was from the eyes of the customer.
Okay.
Is that all pretty straightforward, Rich? That makes sense from?
Yeah. Yep.
No problem. I'm actually going to grab one of my data guys right now to maybe give you a clearer answer on that internet and see. Because what you said, yeah, that's not what my specialty is. I'm going to grab someone as we're speaking now. So.
Oh, that's fine. If it's a service and that, and with what you've explained to me, I understand what you got. I mean, something that wouldn't help me because I'm more everything I have is really kind of internally facing.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you guys are doing, I need something that's more of a hardware-based solution that I can purchase and bring into our network and we run and operate it, because we have all of our network and everything locked down, but I have a lot of applications and everything that run web servers and that, and so the information that'd be interesting to me is, you know, like you said, how many clicks, how long it takes them to do that, so I can be analyzing our pages, which is our tools and stuff, to see how we can streamline that.
So on the just to clarify and educate me on that end, on the intranet level, if you guys were to take an application and basically install it onto a local web server within your company, you're saying that that would be if there's no hardware needed to do that installation, that's not going to be able to be used on the intranet level?
No, I mean, so from what I understand, you guys have to store all the data, right?
No, there's two options. We can store the data on our own web server where we're basically creating these logs that we're hosting on a web server, or we allow you the option to host it internally, where we would basically give you a database schema and an output of our backend, and you would be able to install that internally to use as you please.
Okay, I didn't hear the second one, so okay.
So yeah, and like I said, I do know that we have quite a few scenarios where we are running it on an intranet level, but I do know that we've had a couple where we need to, you know, basically it requires a questionnaire both ways to verify. There's a couple hurdles in that end. So.
Okay.
So just to continue there, I'll finish, you know, basically a minute's worth just to give some clarity before we speak more. I mentioned, you know, we're recreating each experience. We're able to do this for all of the website visitors and data on your site. This is an example of, I suppose, when we say from every module, how deep we're going into the mobile cases, because that's usually the biggest pain point on the top of people's lists right now, is making sure everything is applicable to mobile. So what you're going to see here on this quick screen is, you know, if someone visits your website from a mobile phone, a lot of cases they're using one thumb to kind of navigate and go to the links, the other thumb to scroll. So what this is showing you, what you're going to see is the actual finger interaction from a mobile device, and also realizing that the orange and blue is differentiating the first touch point from the second touch point. So this is just kind of a demonstration of how deep this information goes into mobile. So. So that was pretty straightforward there. The only takeaway, of course, was you know, obviously a mobile session is a lot different than a session coming from a regular website, and we adjust accordingly to show the orientations, the finger movements, and all this information seen on the screen is stored as well as a data point to say what's the average engagement time of the first finger versus the second, how are people using my site for mobile, et cetera, et cetera. So.
Okay. So are you going to show the data that you guys are collecting?
Yeah, absolutely. I can show the actual backend from here. So the general way, so we have, you know, kind of our default analytics. We have we would have you define your KPIs for your company, create a dashboard custom. But assuming that we had, you know, typical website-related analytics here, a usual scenario would be if you click on any point of data, we break down each individual session into kind of a intermediary view where there's a container created for each visit on the site. So in this case, this would be an individual session on your website. This engagement ratio is one example of something we have custom that correlates the time a user spends moving or typing on your site over the total visit as a whole. That's one of the few default deeper analytics we have, but we give your company the ability to create these on a fly. So if you wanted to create the example, like I said, if I wrote, my name is Rob on your site, you would be able to create that metric to be able to use globally throughout our system. That's how it usually works. So we're not trying to give you, 1,000 different metrics to use out of the box because we're storing so much more. We're giving you the capability to define those 5 or 6 KPIs with a deeper stroke. And from there, it's integrated.
How would you build that in there, that metric?
I'm sorry, you're asking how I would build the example I gave, correct?
Yeah, yep.
Let me go into our... Yeah, to be honest, Rich, I am not the highest technical within the company when it comes to all of these, all of the queries that go into all of the page movements. For the most part, we have a lot of defaults, but we have a few different custom query builders, such as this, where you can go into the database directly. And from a common sense standpoint, the way you would build this is we're storing each. So my point is I'm not comfortable demonstrating, but I can tell you from a database perspective, the way you would build this is you're storing each of these keystrokes as an individual number. I believe the term is, you probably know better than me. Each key is stored individually in a record, so you would be able to do a search over a session that says, let me know when these particular keys are chosen. You would add that onto a filter. The next step there would be to say, all of the elements on your page are being stored and referenced individually. So for each element, you would say, I want to know each of these individual keys for this element. That would be the next search query, essentially. And you would you would add from there, and then you would click Create Metric.
All right, so then basically each keystroke or each letter in there is going to have its own timestamp and everything. That's how you guys come up with the overall, how long it took to, someone to type in their name.
Absolutely, yeah, that's the thing I think we're missing here. Yeah, we have a timestamp for every individual action in its own field of data, so then you can just kind of select and just keep adding query on query to create a metric.
So what kind of database do you guys use? What's it built on?
Well, it's currently built, I believe we're using a NoSQL. I believe we have it on a NoSQL database as well as a relational database on a LAMP stack. We have two different database structures. But to be honest, if we had a few of these questions, yeah, I'm not the one to answer that, but I can definitely get those to you fairly quickly. So.
Okay.
Yeah, as far as I know, is that an issue? What are you guys using internally? Is there a specific scenario that would have to align, or?
I'm curious because you're collecting a lot of information, so I'm curious what type of database that you guys are using. So and it also depends how busy your website is.
Yeah, on that end, I'll say our actual, what we've realized now that we've spoke to most of the much larger competitors of ours, most of the Oracles, the IBMs, et cetera, we're a fairly new company, but we've had quite a few conversations as of late to realize, they were saying, why aren't we able to do this? And the main reason here is we're executing all this. If I attach this to a page, we're executing our script with less of a load than traditional Google Analytics, which is storing 1,000th the information. Our script is executing with almost no load internally. I believe it's 2 milliseconds on average. So they told us that the bigger pain point is just our database structured. And they said, storing this information is not what the asset is on your guys' end. We all know this has been possible. It's all been able to execute that in a lightweight script, where the secret sauce, so to speak, is the database schema and structure itself to be able to reference the information. So that's something we've just kind of, exactly what you'd mentioned is the pain point here. That's what was the majority of the development on our end internally. So.
Okay.
So aside from that, Rich, yeah, this is, for the most part, I'll say we have a lot of ways to slice and dice this data. What I was going to show you is a basic tagging module where you can create an instance on your site, such as high-value customer. You can assign a color, and then you can associate the queries to label that client or customer. And that view would be showed from any of our individual videos. It's color-coded, so you could tag and label particular clients, with 5, 6 different labels. They're high value. They've came to my site 5 times and had a problem. They're a partner. Anything along those lines, that's our core organizational system within our analytics as a whole. And we have a few reporting engines as well. So internally, you can email internally, you can export in quite a few different formats, and a lot of what's traditionally associated with a enterprise analytic product. We have a lot of those modules built in through here, but the core takeaway on an initial meeting, as you said, is just the difference in data source itself, and of course the capability to recreate it. So.
Okay.
Do you have any other questions, Rich, or aside from I made a note of what you had asked about the database structure, as well as you probably need a couple of questions on the internet from how you guys are currently doing things. So.
I'm just curious. So do you have, as far as your current customers, do you have more people just doing the public internet, or do you have some customers that have actually purchased your software and are doing it on their intranet?
We have significantly more doing it on their public internet, on the page-based tagging. We don't release client information, but I can give you a couple scenarios on the intranet. It's usually for employee-type monitoring. It's usually for people who want to know the efficiency of this, looking at particular reps and saying, how are they dealing with my clients as a whole? I want to use this tagging system internally as opposed to non. The other scenario I know off the top of my head is trying to give this in a broad way from what I can, a medical-based company who has a local application that they have a lot of patients download an application, and basically they want to know how the usability on their experience as a whole. So that's another instance I know of intranet-wise, and aside from that, I can get you in touch with someone who could outline those scenarios a bit more clear. So. Sounds like that would be 100% on your end what you would have interest in or potential use, correct?
Yeah, because I don't do anything really on our public-facing side at all. So if you have like a white paper or something like that, I can send it over to the guys. I don't give out our guys' information and stuff, and then I let them kind of, reach out and if it's of interest in that, then I let them reach out. So I was more interested from our own internal tools is what I'm kind of thinking from my side. So
let me ask you to relay to, actually, if you give me 1 second, he might be. Justin, can you come in here for a minute? From your internal structure, what would be your practical use case, or do you have a particular pain point you'd be looking to solve, or you just wanted to know basically if you could do anything with it as a step one?
For me, you're asking me?
Correct.
Yeah, so what I'd be looking for is we have a number of internal web UIs that our users use, and so I would be looking at how can I streamline what are their pain points. So I would be using it more of a user impact tool and how I can improve their overall experience, basically what you guys are doing. I'm not looking necessarily for data points on from a marketing perspective. I'm more looking at how I can streamline my user's experience and what they're going through. So that's how I would use it.
Okay. All right, so in that case, as you said, I can send you would you prefer a couple one-pagers or one document that basically outlines in a few more pages? What's your preference? Usually companies are pretty...
The latter.
The latter?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. No problem, Rich. In that case, I'll get you that information, and I'll have someone reach out to you on the networking end just to understand if that would be practical, maybe just ask you a couple questions to know if the scenario you outlined is feasible. So.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, thanks a lot, Rich. Nice talking to you, and we'll send an email out to you by Monday at the latest.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. Bye.
Have a good one.
You too.
Bye-bye.